It's shady that Diddy recorded Marc without telling Marc, knowing that this would go somewhere at some point. Does Marc feel betrayed by Diddy?
If I were Marc, I would be out of my head.
Welcome to the Two Angry Men podcast. Diddy has been exposed. This is not having anything to do with three ways, but it has to do with video shot by Diddy's own videographer that involves his interactions with his chief lawyer in the criminal case, and it's not pretty. And Diddy's team has reacted by threatening Netflix, threatening to sue Netflix. But Marc, why don't we just start out of the gate with this video of Diddy just launching on Marc Agnifilo?
I'm taking 8 nuclear bombs, you know what I'm saying, straight to the head. And I'm tired of going back and forth with y'all, with the lawyers.
That's just not true.
Okay, so no. Let me tell you something. Let me say this. I'm not a referee. So I'm gonna get off the phone right now. Listen to me. I'm gonna get off the phone right now, and I am gonna let you professionals look at the situation and come back to me with a solution. No matter what, no matter what nobody said. Let's just here and there. Y'all are not working together the right way. We're losing.
So Marc, they are pissed that it ended up in the hands of 50 Cent and ended up in this documentary.
Well, I mean, if you read the letter by Michael Tremonti to Netflix, he lays it out. I think he called it a hit job, and clearly, when you see the animus, if you will, between 50 and Diddy, that has historically been for God knows how long. But look, I have several observations. I've been on the phone with Sean over the years and had screaming matches. So I relate to that. I've been in the room with him having screaming matches. But Sean has a unique kind of a history that almost no other celebrity of his ilk has. People often forget 25 years ago, Harvey, he also survived the trial then of the century, which was the shooting at the nightclub.
Well, in fairness, that was like 2000, so the trial of the century was like 9 months old, Marc.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. But that was then trial of the century. Remember, that was Johnny Cochran's last criminal trial.
I know, Ben Brafman.
With Ben Brafman, exactly. Johnny brought Ben in, or Johnny agreed. Frankly, I think it was Johnny agreed to do it.
But you're not saying that it was Diddy that engineered that. That was Johnny and Ben.
Diddy had a very prominent role. You have to understand this personality. You see that personality right now. By the way, this is aside from the fact that it makes me very angry on a number of levels, the fact that this is out and that there's a privately recorded conversation of Sean with his lawyers. I mean, I famously sued over that in the past, but let's put that aside for a second. No, Sean is a hands-on defendant, if you will. He is involved. He is intimately involved, and whether it's this case or other cases, I've seen it. I mean, this is not somebody who is going to let you be the brain surgeon and do the surgery. This is somebody who is intimately involved in what is going on. But it is, if you're a defense lawyer, this is your worst nightmare, to watch him screaming at you. It's basically watching the sausage being made. I mean, tell me you weren't uncomfortable watching that.
Well, you know what my reaction was?
What?
That Diddy is going after the guy that engineered a win for him. So had you listened to this before the verdict, I get it. But to me, this is Marc Agnifilo saying, you dumb shit, just shut up and let me do my job, because when I do my job, I'll win for you, which he did.
Well, by the way,
your daughter too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But the understanding I believe that if you believe when this was filmed, it was before he was arrested.
Right.
And so put it in context. It's a
No.
window into the lead up.
I get it. I get it. But now we have the benefit of knowing what the verdict is. So nobody's going to say Marc Agnifilo didn't know what he was doing or Tenny didn't know what she was doing. They did a remarkable job because everybody else assumed he'd be guilty on all counts. So you hear Diddy screaming at this guy and you're thinking, wait a minute, this guy was brilliant in the trial. This is sort of a client who represents himself as a fool.
Well, this is what I like to say. You know, the in real time, it's always fractious. In real time, it's like I said, the sausage being made. The fact is, however, look, Mark did a masterful job of kind of being the Bill Belichick of this operation. He ran a championship run, and there is always going to be that back and forth.
Not North Carolina, the Patriots.
Yes, exactly. Pre-North Carolina. Yes. For those who don't remember, there was a quarterback there named Tom Brady. But the interesting thing also is, why does Netflix, why does Diddy 50 have this footage? I mean, I don't know if Sean was in control of the footage at one point. Why? Did somebody not pay the videographer? Did the videographer try to sell this out the back door? I mean, what's the problem?
The answer is yes.
Yeah, the answer is yes. What? Tell me.
Yes, he tried to sell it through the back
Yeah.
door. Welcome to the future of data privacy with Incogni. In today's tech-driven world, protecting your personal information from data brokers is more crucial than ever. Incogni helps keep your data private and secure. They're built to protect your personal information from companies that collect, aggregate, and sell it. What you do for Incogni is really, really simple. You sign up, you give them permission to act on your behalf, then they go out and demand that data brokers delete your personal information. So there are many benefits. The first one, Incogni is thorough. They go after every kind of data broker, marketing firms, credit companies, people, search sites, even recruitment and medical data brokers. Now, if they've got your information, Incogni is coming for it. You're covered in all areas. Another benefit, if you care about the law like we do, you probably value public records and transparency. The issue, legal information that used to be accessible in context is now scraped by data brokers, repackaged, and sold. And that can affect hiring, insurance, and even search results. Incogni uses privacy laws like GDPR and CCPA to contact data brokers to request removal of your information from commercial databases. And that gives you full control over how your name appears online. Well, that is critical. Because legal systems should protect your legal rights, they should not turn your past into profits. And that's what Incogni is all about. So you can get 60% off annual plans at incogni.com/angry with code ANGRY at checkout. It's risk-free. Incogni offers a 30-day money-back guarantee if you're not satisfied. Live free from dangerous spam with Incogni. That's incogni.com/angry for 60% off annual plans.
Yeah.
So,
how much was he, by the way, hypothetically, how much was he asking?
Hypothetically, I'm not talking, but
hypothetically, you know what I heard?
Didn't end up on TMZ, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and it wasn't because of the price. Am I right?
Well, I don't want to get into it. I want to ask you about that.
Wait.
Well, no. I want to ask you about it. So this.
I will answer if you answer when
hold on.
I ask you.
So the videographer was hired by Diddy to basically record his life. And Diddy had been doing this for a long time prior to any of the legal troubles. He had been doing this. So he was planning on doing an overall thing about his life. So the videographer is doing this, and then he gets arrested, and then apparently separates from the videographer. So then the question becomes, because Diddy's team has threatened to sue Netflix, and So the question becomes, is there a case here? Because if the videographer just simply shot it on his own, in terms of the footage, it is owned by the videographer because the person who shoots it owns it. Now, if there's a contract that he's basically a gun for hire and that he is doing it for Diddy and paying him, then
Then
Diddy
if
owns it.
he's
And even if Diddy didn't
no,
pay, if he
it depends on who's paying. A lot of the questions are, who hired who? Is there a contract? Was the contract lived up to?
So obviously you guys have an opinion about this. What's your opinion?
My opinion is that you've got a videographer who went rogue.
Okay, so are they going to sue?
But
Are they going to sue? Are they going to sue? Well,
I don't have. That's my opinion.
Oh.
I don't have any facts on that.
you have your tentacles all over this case.
Correct.
Will they sue Netflix? Will Diddy and or Marc Agnifilo and or anybody else involved in the law firm? Is there going to be a suit against Netflix over this?
This is what you look. The lawyer who sent the letter, Michael Tremonte, and that Cher Tremonte law firm, has done unbelievable work suing people and defending Diddy in situations that I wouldn't have laid odds on would be successful at all. I mean, I will tell you I think they're defending in hundreds of cases, lawsuits, and they've done remarkable work. Michael and his compatriot Erica are tremendous lawyers.
So are they going to sue?
Well, they've sent a letter,
Right.
a cease and desist. The problem with lawsuits in this area is, number one, prior restraint. I can think of one example. I actually was privy to it years ago, where I got a phone call after I surrendered Michael Jackson, and it was from Greta Van Susteren. And she said, somebody's trying to sell the video of you and Michael on the plane when you were surrendering him in Santa Barbara. And I said, what? And I talked to the lawyer, and the lawyer says, yeah, the client, the jet, the private jet operator.
I totally
remember this.
Oh, do I ever? I know about this.
Right. He was out trying to sell it.
I know exactly what this is because I think this was when we were doing Celebrity Justice.
Correct.
Exactly. And this was the private jet company.
Right. And that the guy is now since dead, but I actually got a restraining order. Before I could execute the restraining order on the lawyer who had the footage, guess what happened? FBI went in and grabbed the footage.
Okay, so in this case, the horse is out of the barn. So we don't care about prior restraint anymore. So it's on Netflix.
Prior restraint to the extent that this came out before it fell on Netflix.
I get it.
By the way, when I turned on Netflix last night, guess what the number one show is? This.
Yep.
Number one. And by the way, 50 is trolling like nobody I've ever seen. I mean, you watch the Robin Roberts interview. I don't think Branson got that, but he is trolling Diddy. And the cross currents here are something because there are witnesses who have connections to 50, and there are purported and there's really a undercurrent here, Harvey, that I'm surprised you haven't identified yet. It's interesting to me that this thing has been presumably sold, that somebody sold this footage.
Undoubtedly.
Undoubtedly, right? And why is that? So you have to ask that question. You have to ask the question, what started all of this? And the origins of this is somebody didn't pay. And there's a lot of kind of undercurrent here that all of these things always started with a financial dispute. And you can make a pretty compelling argument that all of this, the roots of all of this, are financial.
Well, I think
in a million different ways.
I think you can, and the deal is, if there's no written agreement, and I have a feeling there's not really strong written agreement, if any, here. If somebody hires somebody to do this, and there's no agreement that the person owns the video if they don't pay, the recourse that the videographer has is not to say, I'll just go sell the video myself. It's to sue the person for payment. And that if the videographer just goes out and says, oh, I'm going to make money off this video that I shot for him, that's not kosher. And that you have to sue for the amount of money you were supposed to get in videotaping the
Right,
the
but
subject.
let me.
So my
look,
point.
you're sitting at TMZ.
Well, no.
TMZ has famously, come on, you and I, many years ago during one of our yell fests when we would yell with each other, not on the air but off the air. There is this idea, and mind you, you took a lot of heat for stuff when everybody was doing it, but they were disguising it.
We buy video. I mean,
correct.
Let me just make this clear. We buy video, and there's nothing wrong with it, and everybody does it. They've done
Everybody does it. You're just open about it.
Not for years, but for decades. I love it because when everybody said, oh, TMZ is buying photos and videos, they were like, thank you guys, you're our barker in the public because I want the public to know we buy videos. There is nothing wrong with buying videos. News operations are profit-making organizations, and the notion that, oh, you have to give it to us, but we can't pay you. Well, if we're going to make money off of something and somebody owns something of value, why shouldn't they? And it doesn't change the story. If anything, it enhances and explains the story. So video not only is purchased by TMZ, I hate to say it, but CNN, the LA Times buys pictures. Everybody buys pictures.
By the way,
everybody, every media outlet buys them.
CBS, ABC,
all of
NBC.
Them. All of them.
I won't reveal the various cases. Every single one.
Well, Michael Jackson would be one that you would probably mention. So, look, they all buy it. So it's stupid.
So I have one question.
No. But hold on. I got to ask you.
Yeah.
Since it's bogus to say the videographer owns it because Diddy didn't pay. Again, the recourse is sue him. Well, hold on.
Except you need to know more facts. I don't think, and I don't know, so I haven't drilled into it.
But you know who does know? You know who does know? Presumably
Yes.
the lawyer who talked to Diddy before he sent the cease and desist letter to Netflix. So now the question, do they believe that the photographer overstepped his bounds and that maybe the privacy rights were violated? Are they going to sue Netflix?
I think that is a heavy lift, but I don't know enough facts. I think you would have to establish, and Michael would probably slap me for even speculating because I haven't talked to him about this, but you'd have to see, I'd want to know at least, what is the videographer going to say? What is his position? Did he have this? Did he own it? And was he licensing it? Was the videographer in the employ of Diddy at the time? And was there a payment dispute then? Did somebody not pay him? Did he take this and he didn't have authority to take it? You'd have to have answers or at least strong beliefs on those questions as your answers before you're going to go up against Netflix.
They already went up against Netflix. They sent him a cease and desist letter.
Cease and desist that's the
So they're shooting in the dark?
No. What I'm going to tell you is sending a cease and desist is not litigating. I mean, it is, you know that. How many, what's the percentage of cease and desist you've received?
So who's that lawyer again? Who's that lawyer again who sent it?
Michael Tremonti.
He's a really big lawyer.
I'm telling you, he's top shelf.
He's top shelf. He knows his stuff. So
he certainly does.
So he's just taken a wild shot in the dark without getting any facts.
No, the opposite. I think the opposite. I think Michael is cautious. I think Michael is deliberate, tactical. I have the utmost respect for him.
Okay, so then he must feel comfortable enough to think that you could actually invoke a prior restraint, then you could file a lawsuit.
Well, presumably he does. I just don't have the facts to evaluate it. But if you're going to ask me, here's the different question. If you're going to ask me, is somebody like Michael Tremonti just shooting off cease and desist, a la some other lawyers in town that you and I both know, who shoot them off all the time and they're meaningless. Michael Tremonti is a serious player who, if he's sending a cease and desist, I would not want to be on the receiving end of that if I didn't have my facts perfectly calibrated.
Okay, so let's go to something else that I'm just really interested in. I think there is something that happens in a conversation with Agnifilo that really,
God, I want to know what you're going to go.
Oh, it really hits home for me because I think Diddy really nailed this and made such a good point. And it has to do with basically, putting your position out where it matters.
You have to have some sort of comms to constantly be pushing that, Mark. You have to.
This is a 10-year relationship, and it was adults and consensual, and everybody who was there wanted to be there.
Because you may just be a person that you just may watch CNN. You know what I'm saying? And there's 9 billion people in the world, and 7 billion of them is on Instagram and TikTok. And so you at the wrong place looking to see what the people with the possible jurors are thinking.
Boy, did he nail it. Did he nail it? He is so right that when you look at it, that there is this thing with people who are old enough to only know television growing up, that they think, yeah, you got to go on one of those shows. CNN has a couple 100,000 viewers during the daytime. TikTok.
Remember?
No,
I'm old enough to remember being on CNN when 17 million people would be watching at night. Yeah. I can remember that.
Right. And now it's a couple 100,000 during the day and maybe 400,000 at night. TikTok has tens of millions of people. YouTube has millions and millions and millions of views. And that's where things are headed right now. I mean, for us, look, we have 3 television shows, but we cut things up, put them on our social, which is huge. Our social platforms are huge. And that's where we get the real traction. But the idea that everybody, I think Diddy's point to Agnifilo is, dude, go where the people are. Go where the people are.
You know what's interesting about that? We did early on in this pod, where we did the Menendez brothers.
Yeah.
And one of the things that always struck me about that was, and I love her to death, Leslie Abramson. And years ago, not that long ago, but a couple of years ago, she was saying no amount of TikTokers or no amount of, the kind of a little dismissive of those kinds of social media platforms. I will tell you, and I've said it all along, in regards to them and in regards to others, that is where the discussion, that is what is driving the discussion. That is where it's at. These things, 100%. It's interesting as we sit here, they're selling CNN and supposedly the price is going to be $1 billion. I mean, talk about, it reminds me, I had a client once who bought a series of payphone franchises right as cell phones were coming into popularity in the 90s. And you've never seen a implosion like there was in that situation. That reminds me of where we are right now.
Oh, believe me, we're living it right now. I mean, we're pivoting in a big way over to YouTube, and we've got a Gen Z department. I mean, that's where the audience is. So I think Diddy nailed it. Can I tell you a story that I've never talked about publicly, but it's I think you might find this interesting. The Menendez brothers and Leslie Abramson. So there was a time before, I believe it was the first trial, where CBS was doing a documentary or some kind of an hour-long show on Eric and Lyle, and it was very unflattering. And Leslie was furious and said it was going to taint the jury pool in Los Angeles. And do you remember this at all?
You know what the picture that comes into my mind, and I hope I'm not stepping on your story, is Leslie walking through the hallway at the courthouse.
Yeah.
like this to the report? Yeah.
But that's not my story.
Okay.
That's not my story. So Leslie was enraged and really believed that, especially if it aired in Los Angeles, it was going to completely taint the jury pool because it was a damning show. So at the time, I was the investigative reporter for the CBS station in Los Angeles, KCBS.
KCBS,
And
right, the predecessor to KCAL, right?
So KCBS and KCAL merged. Okay.
Right.
So I went to Leslie and I said, I got an idea. And I said, if I can get CBS to not air it in the Los Angeles market, will you give me an interview with Eric and Lyle? And we'll play that interview for the 1 hour in place of the documentary in the Los Angeles market.
Wow. You know, you got that idea from the NFL, didn't you?
No, I got that idea from me.
For those who are not old enough to remember, the NFL used to black out local games unless they were sellouts. What was it, 72 hours before?
Right.
And CBS was an NFL provider. And so they would play another game during that hour, or Little House on the Prairie or something else.
So Leslie thought about it and called me the next day, and she said, I'm in.
Really?
And here I am, now I've got Eric and Lyle Menendez,
Wow.
and Leslie, which everybody would have killed to have at that point, right? I mean, forget it. And
well, by the way, from Leslie's standpoint, talk about
it was brilliant.
Getting lemonade out of
yes.
lemons, right? I mean, that's incredible.
So
in terms of the jujitsu or the media jujitsu, that's brilliant.
So I went to my general manager and I told him, and he ran it up the flagpole, and CBS said no.
Why?
They just said, we're not going to black it out anywhere. We don't do that. And it's like, well, why don't you do that? Why?
You do it for the NFL. Why wouldn't you do it for
what stops
the NFL of court cases?
They wouldn't do it.
Wait, was Les Moonves there then?
I don't remember. This must have been, God, what was it, 80-something?
It was 80-something, so it would have probably been before.
Yeah, before Les.
But if Les Moonves
he would have done it.
Was there,
he would have done
it in a heartbeat because,
anyway.
I mean, you could just, by the way, those were the days when there were these rules that made very little sense.
Right,
journalistically, because you would say to yourself, how do you justify doing it when you've got this huge contract that you're paying to the NFL and you're blacking out the local market because they haven't sold their tickets, yet somehow you've got journalistic integrity and we're not going to black out the local market when we've got the Super Bowl of trial.
But also, I think that the show itself didn't do that well in L.A. It would have broken records in L.A. if we would have put the Menendez brothers on. So anyway, I'm sorry for hijacking it. So listen, so there's another thing, and it kind of goes to what you've been talking about, which is Diddy talking about how to kind of create your own positive spin on things. And this involves Don Richard, who made allegations against Diddy, serious ones, a former member of Danity Kane. And here's what he said.
Hey, yo, you think we can hire an editor to go and find over clips? You're an editor, right?
If you don't control your narrative, somebody else will control it.
It's a media war. Look, let me ask you positive comments. Say any Dawn Richard interview where she speaks positively about her relationship with Diddy. She did a lot of interviews. And on the interviews, they want to talk about me. You know what I'm saying?
I think that is vintage Sean. He is a master of understanding that you can't let. It's kind of the argument I've made for many years, as you know, about the idea of gag orders and trials and things like that. The prosecution comes out, they always want to set the tone and then run and gag the defense. And if you let them take the narrative, grab the narrative and take you hostage, basically, and so that you can't speak. You've lost. You can't. That's a hill, the Sisyphean hill. You're never going to get up, and that's exactly why he's so insightful and brilliant. In this case, he he kept pressing on that. It's one of the reasons I think that the government, in his case, was absolutely relentless on keeping him in custody. Can you imagine if that trial had been done while he was out of custody? I mean, he already got a tremendous result, an unbelievable result, but it would have been incredible if he had had the ability from where he was sitting outside of the courtroom.
It would have been the same
combated
result. It would have been the same result. He can't get over the Mann Act.
I don't know. I still think, let's see what Alexandra Shapiro does in the circuit. I think she may get some traction in the circuit on the Mann Act.
So, when's the last time you talked to Diddy?
I got a voicemail message from him recently. I haven't talked to him. I don't think I got the voicemail message after he's been to Fort Dix, but I haven't talked to him since he's been at Fort Dix. Just get messages.
So, do you have any recon on what his reaction, his personal reaction is to the documentary, to 50 Cent, to the video?
Look, I just said I haven't talked to him. Do you know what my immediate reaction is that he's probably irate. I mean, I would be irate if I were him. I'm irate for Marc Agnifilo. I wouldn't want, I mean, being recorded while talking to my client is one of the more chilling things that I can imagine. And it really, especially, I think, unnecessarily taints the job that Marc did. I mean, Marc was brilliant. Agnifilo was brilliant on this case. Tenney was brilliant on this case. Sean is a larger than life personality, and I'm sure that the last thing he wants is to have the narrative, as you just put it, not be controlled by him. And he's got a right to that. I mean, people have a right to tell their story the way they want. He is the holder, by the way. He is the holder of the privilege, meaning when he's talking to Agnifilo, he holds it. Agnifilo doesn't. Agnifilo is supposed to defend that privilege at all peril. So with Diddy as the holder of it, if somebody violates that, that somebody should be on the hook for it. And you say, well, I know what the reaction is going to be. Somebody who may not be in the weeds may say, well, then he shouldn't have had the videographer. No, you can have privileged conversations if you take the right precautions and have those videotaped for a variety of reasons, for posterity, for if you want to memorialize something for a variety of reasons. If you want to keep a video notes, just because you're doing it by video doesn't mean you can't keep track of it in a different form. And so as the holder of the privilege, it's a violation for somebody to then go and sell that. That was kind of the argument that was made that a judge issued an order on 25 years ago here in LA.
Final point. Diddy hired the videographer. Diddy got on the phone with Marc Agnifilo, his lawyer. Diddy knew that Marc was being recorded, but Diddy didn't tell Marc. Does Marc feel betrayed by Diddy?
I've not talked to Marc about it.
What do you think?
Would feel.
What do you
think?
I
will tell you I'll just tell you, if it was me, I would be more than a little upset. I was more than a little upset when the client didn't know and I was being recorded. I mean, there was a while there where I was meeting clients under bridges, freeway bridges, because I was PTSD over it. So I think as a lawyer, it is one of the most inviolate oaths that you take to protect the client confidentiality and the client privilege. So I don't know. I haven't talked to Marc, but if I were Marc, I would be out of my head.
It was kind of shady on Diddy's part to videotape.
I'm not going to.
Marc.
Well, also under 6068 here at BNP code.
Blah, blah, blah.
Don't get me to blah, blah, blah. Don't get me to diss an ex-client. So.
All I'm saying, it's shady that Diddy recorded Marc without telling Marc, knowing that this would go somewhere at some point. It's shady.
I will just say hypothetically, I've been in that situation and I've never been happy about it. How's that?
But Mark, listen to this interaction in a hallway at the courthouse where Marc Agnifilo is standing there. Listen to this.
Maybe actually go to the prosecutor. This guy committed another crime. And I would do the same thing with Little Ron. Go to the prosecutor. Really put a package together. Here's what he said.
You shouldn't record it.
When somebody is saying you shouldn't be recording this, it's an acknowledgement that Mark shouldn't be recorded. And at least there, Mark can see the camera. But on a telephone call, he doesn't know that Diddy is having this guy record it. It's shady.
So, do you remember Oscar Goodman, who was the mayor in
Yes,
Las Vegas?
Yes.
When Oscar, before he was mayor, was one of the premier criminal defense lawyers, also a Haverford grad in the country. And when somebody asked him, why did you leave the practice of law? And I asked him this once, I met him once in Vegas, and he said, I was tired of worrying whether my clients were wired. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay, I'm going to translate that by saying you would be pissed off if you were in Mark's shoes and it happened to you.
What's the name of this podcast?
Two Angry Men. Would you be an angry man?
I'll leave it at that.
Okay, we'll see you.
See ya.